Office Christmas Party has just been released all over the world. It's a big studio release for Christmas. Interestingly, it was embargoed in terms of review till 4 a.m. on the morning of its release in Australia. Generally, that is a sign that a film is a turkey. A Christmas turkey, you might say. But is Office Christmas Party a turkey, or is it any good?
So I've made a list of my first round of layoffs. No!
He's a my employee! Are we sure about this?
How about say you won't make budget cuts?
Swear to God, Clay!
Here comes the Loogie Express!
Don't you dare.
Say it, everybody's gonna get a bonus or
You
else!
suck that back in! You suck that back in!
Jim Flanagan has joined me to discuss. Hi, Jim.
How are you?
So this is the thing. When they embargo a film like this and they don't let you talk about it until literally the morning of its release worldwide, it generally means that the studio has no faith in it and that they want the bucks to come in fast based on the advertising before the reviews get out there. Was that the case for you with this film?
Yeah,
What did you
look,
think of it?
It's normally a very bad sign of a large tentpole film, and I have a bit of a dodgy small confession. I'm quite partial to a cynical, well-executed Christmas movie, and there are lots of quite good ones, even recently, I think, Jon Favreau's Elf and Bad Santa. This is not one of them.
You didn't like it?
No, I didn't. In fact, I think this is a really, really terrible Christmas film.
Really? Okay. I obviously liked it more than you. Just to give it a little bit of context, it is essentially... It's a big budget studio Christmas comedy that utilizes two very established stars, Jason Bateman and Jennifer Aniston, kind of in the straight roles, and then buffets them with a lot of up-and-coming television comedians making the transition to feature films.
Yes.
The most prominent of whom, I guess, would be Kate McKinnon and TJ Miller.
Yeah, and those two in particular. And there are a lot of very, very good American actors from film and especially TV in this, with almost nothing to do. And what little they have to do is effectively a kind of poor imitation of what they've done a lot better elsewhere, I think.
That's definitely true.
Inclusive of Kate and TJ Miller, I think, who can both be really good. They're emerging performers, and they have a range that I think we only have a limited understanding of so far, and they've clearly been given directions to kind of cynically reproduce that in this. What did you like about it? I'm curious.
Well, I didn't necessarily say that I liked it. So Jennifer Aniston and TJ Miller play brother and sister who've inherited their father's major company, and she is the CEO, and TJ Miller gets to run the Chicago office. It's Christmas time. He wants to have an office Christmas party. She does not because of costs, and he decides he needs to go ahead anyway in order to convince some third party that they should invest in the company.
Well, and that's just sort of late plot development as well, isn't it? Because your initial setup is they're going to have this huge, fantastic Christmas party, and Jennifer Aniston says, no, you can't do that. The party's off. And the party's off, as far as we're concerned, at about the 20-minute mark. And then there's this...
Well, the plot's incidental to the film.
Absolutely.
The plot is absolutely incidental to the film. Like, just describing the plot, it's about two siblings who one says we should have a Christmas party and one says we shouldn't. That is the plot. Well, and essentially the film is entirely a structure for a whole bunch of up-and-coming comedians to have bits, to have moments, so that you've got this grand Christmas party happening in an office building, and you've got little bits, and hopefully people are being funny. So you've got a guy from you've got multiple actors from television, including, and you've got Kate McKinnon and TJ Miller, essentially, as you're saying, doing their thing. TJ Miller, his most famous persona at the moment is from the character he plays on Silicon Valley. And he has just completely brought that character here, which is the fun-loving goofball who everybody likes and means well, but is essentially not the kind of person that you could actually put in charge of anything, because he has no real ability they did other than to have fun and to be a goofy guy.
They did something similar with him in Deadpool, I thought, where they just transferred that character in as the bar owner.
Oh, right. In that small role in Deadpool.
Yeah, it's a sort of increasingly common dramatic approach to casting, I think, in kind of...
Yeah, he presents as a stoner slacker. Stoner-slacker, good time guy.
You just transfer in that character. But what confused me about this is that, you're absolutely right in that more than half of the film are just these montages of of people behaving badly at an office Christmas party, but there's this immensely complicated and very, very convoluted plot sort of covering and incorporating that setup.
The plot is the problem with the movie, really,
Yeah.
in a way. It needed to just be sillier and funnier, but instead it finds itself locked into its plot and therefore locked into a resolution and redemption, and therefore, you know, because Jennifer Aniston's character is being so cold and so horrible throughout the first 2/3 of the movie, and you know, because you're watching an expensive movie, a Hollywood studio movie, that she is going to have to find her nice. And so during that final period where she has to find her nice, it is simply boring, because you're like, what strings are they going to pull to make her find her nice? You know, it's all so predictable and formulaic. And if they actually avoided that formula and allowed it to be nastier and
I agree.
more cynical, then it would have been better. Because the fact is, it is an R-rated movie in the United States anyway. So they could have allowed it to be more R-rated.
Yeah, if they just allowed the cast a bit more oxygen to do their thing, I think. And look,
But I
there
still
are
laughed more than 6 times, which is my
some
test.
genuinely funny moments. I mean, this is a really good cast, and occasionally they let go, and there are clearly some nice improvised moments that they've captured. But you also touched on something that I also found a little bit alarming about this film, in that ostensibly the way that it's set up, it's sort of hinting at the sort of great middle American malaise at the moment. And it does, there is this plot that suggests that the way that middle American young professionals are losing their jobs. And it's, ostensibly the setup is about
I don't think it tackled that at all.
No, well, that's what I mean. Closing branches, and then it just turns into another awful fairy tale in the end, and everyone gets their jobs back, and they largely reinvent a portion of the technology industry in sort of half an hour late at night.
Yeah, and that was all really, really, really annoyingly stupid. Olivia Munn's character, I mean, she's great. She's a very enjoyable screen presence, but her character was... What they made her have to do was unactable. That sort of that bing, that light bulb moment of, oh my God, if we just,
And I will save the film.
Yeah, but let's talk about Kate McKinnon. Because Kate McKinnon is obviously incredibly talented. She will start having her own movies. It feels like either she hasn't written the right script for herself, or someone hasn't written the right script for her yet, or people with the bucks just don't know how to fund her yet, because she obviously needs her own film. I think she will probably have to make it on a much lower scale than this sort of film, because I think her humor is left of center, and she'll require a more like a $5 or $10 million vehicle to get going, rather than this, which is obviously a very expensive movie. But also, she plays the straight arrow in this film, and she does as good as she can with it, as well as she can with it, but I don't think it was the right role for her.
No, and what worries me about Kate McKinnon in this film as well, and I think she's great, and she's one of the absolute upcoming stars.
Yeah, you can't help but tell that she's brilliant.
Absolutely, and the current Saturday Night Live generation. What worries me is already seeing similar parallels with Tina Fey's film career, who is another genius performer.
They don't know what to do with it.
But for reasons that I'm
Whiskey
still
Tango
unsure
Foxtrot.
of, she's yet to make a good film.
Yeah.
She's one of the great American television comic performers, I think. She's a super brilliant performer, and she inexplicably only appears in not very good films. So I don't know what is happening and whether gender is playing a role in this.
Oh, of course it is, because people don't see her...
In that transition.
People don't see Tina Fey or Kate McKinnon at all as sex symbols, although a lot of people would beg to disagree.
It is
Jennifer Aniston, who was a sex symbol, she got her run of comedies. Now she's sort of been sidelined into playing the hard ass.
But it is a worry, isn't it? Because there's a much clearer, much more successful transition as a male actor coming from Saturday Night Live to a successful film career, and even going back to the Belushis and the Aykroyds and the
Melissa
Chasers.
McCarthy is now the female embodiment of. She's the Belushi, she's the John Candy. Obviously, I'm referring to the fact that she is not a traditional size.
And even the Will Ferrells on in more recent times. It seems a far more difficult transition for female performers.
Yeah, I agree. Well, I look forward to what Kate McKinnon does, and I still think she makes her role work, but it's a tough one because she's constrained. She's playing the office tight wad, you know, the office killjoy.
Yeah, that's the
Yeah.
role. That's
Yeah.
exactly it. It's suffocatingly small. For
I quite
her.
liked, just as a in a much smaller role, I quite liked Randall Park as the kind of guy
Yeah.
who seems like the office really nice, really straight techie guy who
Yeah.
actually has an incredibly weird thing going on.
Yeah, that was one of the
was a good
one of
scene.
the 2 or 3 moments that I genuinely enjoyed. That was good. Yeah.
So
That was
obviously
imaginative.
we saw this movie for free, but figuring that people have to spend $20 to see it, would you say watch this at the cinema?
This is a don't watch this.
You'd
from
say don't
me,
watch this?
I'm afraid, CJ.
I'd say if you're in the
tough.
mood for something just silly and fun and Christmassy, I would say watch this because to me it still gave me the spirit of Christmas.
right, we will-
It's a very Christmassy movie.
We will agree to moderately disagree on this one.
You're watching Watch This.
Hey, Megan. It's winter. Can we put Dancer and Prancer back in their stable?
Are you body shaming her right now?
Some people here might find your outfit offensive.
Well, some people might find your outfit offensive.
And really confusing.
Where you stream to watch that, watch this, and I'll dive down through this hairy flesh and ever running bloodstream.